I used to love finding an arcade machine when I was a kid, especially those guns that had the kickback on them. I'd play Time Crisis for as long as the pocket of change I had would let me, and I'd love it. While arcades are still around today, it's not exactly common, but ARK-ADE, get it? Really gave me that feeling I had back then. The best way to describe ARK-ADE is to ask the question, what if Far Cry Blood Dragon and Pistol Whip had a baby? Well, this is what their VR spawn would look like.
Oh yeah, and you're done. Well, that's how you do that.
ARK-ADE takes the amazing 80s techno Tron aesthetic, fast run and gun gameplay, and sucks you inside an arcade machine, literally in the game story, to save the world from an AI bent on world domination. If you're looking for a fast-paced VR shooter with all the well-known tropes of a classic arcade game, you've come to the right place. From bonus points, power-ups, extra limited time weapons, and bullet time, ARK-ADE plays just like a classic with a fresh 2021 coat of VR paint. As always, I'll look at graphics, sound, gameplay, and any problems I found while playing, so without further ado, let's jump into ARK-ADE. Oh, it is so hard not to say arcade, but I'm trying to do the game's title and spelling justice here. As always, we'll start with the graphics, and my oh my do I love this visual style. Takes me right back to the fun and surprise of Far Cry Blood Dragon. ARK-ADE's combination of fluorescent techno colors not only looks great, but it helps you with the fast-paced gameplay that I'll get into later on. Having such distinguishing colors between friendly and enemy makes identifying enemies, bonuses, and power-ups a breeze, especially on the harder difficulties when the only way I can describe it is, it gets old school arcade crazy.
No way, they've gone all Space Invaders on me.
The visuals keep the hardline and blocky look with the terrain, and a lovely touch is the explosions are in blocks as well. It's like a Lego movie explosion, and it's fun to watch and true to the visual style. All the while, under the glow of the arcade machine you've been sucked inside of, which you can see anytime if you look to your right. It's like some Wreck-It Ralph kind of thing, and I think it's a beautiful touch and sells the theme really well here. Also, if you pay attention to the numbers on the arcade machine screen for your health, they're accurate in real time. Gorgeous. The sound for the game is no less fitting for the aesthetic either. From your guns to the background noise, this is all on point, and I especially like the sound when you get a one-hit kill from a headshot. Each stage has its own techno-style synthy soundtrack as well that always keeps up with the action, and an announcer keeps you up to date with things like what power-ups you've picked up, because sometimes you're not sure what you've picked up, you just know you need more firepower. And speaking of firepower, let's talk about different types of weapons at your disposal. Your standard weapon is a semi-automatic pistol. Everything else here is a power-up that lasts for a limited amount of shots and is applied to the same weapon model. Think the gun from Remedy's Control. You can get a shotgun power-up which fires what looks like a Resident Evil movie laser grid kind of net, but it works like a shotgun, good spread, and you can take down multiple enemies. Next you have the machine gun, and this thing has an insane rate of fire. that's great for weakening a boss or a structure. The classic grenade launcher is next. You only get 2 or 3 rounds of this, so use them wisely, but they will destroy the environment as well as enemies. It's so powerful. The only thing I will say is it doesn't fire them very far, so aim way higher than your target at a distance. You have the laser, which as you can imagine is just a constant stream of death to fire, and you can wipe out a whole room without letting go of the trigger. Then there's the, well, it's this. I want to say rebounder, because that's what it does. It'll fire a straight line blade type thing that rebounds off of all the surfaces all around that can deal with a lot of enemies with one shot, but I'm still not really sure what it's called from that announcer. And that's it. If there's more, you'll have to find them. If there is more. This brings us to another of the game's strong points, and that's the gameplay. The gameplay loop is just as an old style arcade shooter would be. You go through the level, shooting as many enemies as you can, while keeping your eye out for extras in the background for bonus points, collecting power-ups. And these boss fights are a challenge, believe you me, but you've got to beat them to unlock the next stage.
Ha! I beat him! Yes! I guess that's how we move on then. Whoa!
Some mini-bosses make an appearance in the levels as well, but while this all sounds pretty standard for an old-school light gun, sort of run-and-gun arcade-type shooter, and it is, ARK-ADE has done something very smart. They've introduced ARK. This is a little floating cube that looks like a mother box from Zack Snyder's Justice League that will lead you through a level. Well, I say lead, ARK will just make their way through the level. The only thing is that you and ARK share the same health. Now, this isn't one big escort mission, don't get me wrong. What happens to ARK mainly is that they are held in place with these tractor beam type things from enemies. It does take down health, but not too fast. What's smart about this though, is that it keeps you moving. There's no stopping and hiding behind this and that. You have to keep moving forward, blasting away with everything you've got. This is great because it keeps pace up and it stops things getting stagnant. It takes an old school fun gameplay loop and puts the pressure on, and I really enjoy that. Also, something that cannot be understated is the bullet time pickups. Slow down time with your offhand and wipe out a whole area of enemies really quickly. It's limited and you need to pick up more bullet time, but it is a vital asset to this game, as on harder difficulties you won't survive without it. The replayability of each stage is a strong asset here as well, and if you want to climb those leaderboards, you're gonna need to play these stages over and over and over again. And with multiplayer coming further down the line on the roadmap for ARK-ADE, you're gonna want to practice. Now, you know what I like about this game, but what issues did I have? As with every game I review, there's always issues. No game is perfect. But quite frankly, ARK-ADE had almost no problems. The game never crashed, it never bugged out on me, everything worked as it should every time. Looks good, sounds good, and I had a lot of fun. The game is polished like a cloud gate in Chicago. You know, that really reflective bean looking thing? One thing in the back of my mind while playing was the base semi-auto pistol. Now, after I have had a controller go away for repair recently, be delayed and take a month, no longer than a month to come back to me, I was pulling the trigger on my right hand controller an insane amount of times to fire the semi-auto pistol as much as I needed to, and it just made me worry for my controller's trigger life and trigger wear. One stage of trigger wear on this game is like 100 games of Pavlov or onward. Now, that's a nitpick, don't get me wrong, it's just because I'm scared about controller replacement horror reliving itself. My only other issue is no checkpoints, and whilst that's on par with old school arcade shooters, when you go through a whole level and then die at the boss fight only to have to go through the whole level again as a fresh run, oh man, it hurts me.
No, not from the beginning. Damn it.
I know these are nitpicks, but it's all I've got. With a great and visually impressive aesthetic combined with well-fitting effects and soundtrack, ARK-ADE combines these features into a tried and tested gameplay loop with its own spin to keep it up to date with 2021. Its fast-paced run-and-gun gameplay is a blast from the past but freshly exciting. I lost myself playing through the stages here as I just wanted to keep going and going and going. The boss fights are tough and fun, and while if you die in them, you have to start the level fresh, that's authentic and a nitpick to call a fault. Created by 4 friends with no game industry experience at all and just a shared dream, the passion for ARK-ADE shines brightly through all the fluorescent colors in the game. 2 years of hard work and you are seeing the fruits of that labor. If you always liked run and gun or light gun games, fast-paced shooters, or anything with a synth-sounding fluorescent-looking 80s style, then go pick up a copy of ARK-ADE. It's available on Steam for £15, which is about 20 bucks. ARK-ADE is also available on the Oculus Quest and Oculus Quest 2 via App Lab for the same price. You can also download the free demo to try it out yourself on any system. With a good replayability factor, ARK-ADE is definitely one to pick up. If not now, it's time to get it on the VR Christmas list. And that was ARK-ADE. I've been playing it for a while now and I'm still loving it. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and don't forget to subscribe for more VR reviews, comparisons, and honesty. If a game is bad, I will tell you so. The only other thing to say is my name is Rex, this is Eyes on VR, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.